Jake lived for horror. His YouTube channel, Scream Scene, was his kingdom. He reviewed horror movies and games. Jake thrived on the adrenaline rush of fear. He loved sharing his passion with his growing audience. Every night, he'd settle into his dimly lit apartment. He'd prepare to dive into the latest terrifying content. His subscribers eagerly awaited his reactions. They trusted his expert opinions on all things horror. Jake considered himself immune to genuine fear, until now. The video began with static. A distorted whispering filled his headphones. He couldn't make out any words. The static intensified. The whispering grew louder. A sense of unease washed over him. He felt a strange pressure in his chest. He tried to adjust his headphones, but the pressure remained. The whispering seemed to be coming from inside his head. The static cleared. A figure emerged from the darkness. It was tall and gaunt. Its face was obscured by shadows. It moved with unnatural, jerky movements. Jake felt a growing sense of dread. He wanted to look away. He wanted to stop the video, but he was frozen, transfixed by the unsettling image. He felt a strange connection to the figure, as if it was calling to him. The figure reached out towards the screen. Its hand was skeletal and long-fingered. It seemed to be trying to break through the digital barrier. Jake recoiled from his monitor. He felt a cold breath on his neck. He spun around, but no one was there. He was alone in his apartment, but he felt watched. He felt surrounded. He turned back to the screen. The figure was gone. The video ended abruptly. Jake sat in silence, his heart pounding in his chest. He felt a profound sense of unease. He tried to rationalize what he had just seen. He told himself it was just a creepy video, but deep down he knew it was something more. The next morning, Jake woke up with a start. He had a strange, metallic taste in his mouth. He felt drained, as if he hadn't slept at all. He checked his computer. His channel's homepage had changed. His usual banner was replaced with the distorted image from the video. His profile picture was now a still frame of the shadowy figure. He tried to change them back, but the website wouldn't respond. He scrolled through his videos. They were all gone, replaced by copies of the unsettling video he had watched last night. Panic began to set in. He tried to contact YouTube support, but he couldn't access the help page. It was as if his channel had been hijacked, taken over by something beyond his understanding. He felt a cold dread wash over him. He checked his apartment. Everything seemed normal, but the air was heavy. The silence was oppressive. He felt like he was being watched. He felt like he was trapped in a nightmare. He tried to dismiss it as a prank, but the intensity of the situation was undeniable. Something was terribly wrong. He looked in the mirror. His reflection stared back at him, but something was different. His eyes seemed darker. His skin was paler. A faint, distorted whispering echoed in his ears. He recognized the sound from the video. It was growing louder. It was getting closer. He felt a chilling realization. The video wasn't just haunting his channel, it was haunting him. Jake's subscribers began commenting on the changes to his channel. At first, they thought it was a joke, a Halloween prank. But as more and more people watched the video, the comments changed. People started reporting strange occurrences, nightmares, electronic disturbances, a growing sense of dread. The video was spreading, and it was taking its toll. Jake tried to warn his subscribers. He tried to tell them not to watch the video, but his comments were immediately deleted, replaced by the same cryptic message, "Do not watch this." He felt helpless. He was losing control. His channel, his passion, was being used to spread this digital plague. He was becoming a part of it. He started seeing the figure in his peripheral vision, a fleeting glimpse in the shadows, a flicker in the corner of his eye. It was always there, watching him, taunting him. He tried to ignore it, but it was becoming increasingly difficult. The whispering was constant now, a low hum in the back of his mind. It was driving him insane. He felt a strange pull towards his computer, a compulsion to watch the video again. He resisted. He knew it was a trap, but the urge was growing stronger. He felt like he was being drawn in, consumed by the digital darkness. He was losing the fight. Section 5. The Unseen Watcher. The line between reality and the digital world began to blur. Jake's apartment felt like an extension of the video. The shadows danced with the flickering lights. The whispering echoed in the empty spaces. He was no longer sure what was real and what was a product of the haunting. He was trapped in a digital nightmare. His reflection in the mirror was becoming increasingly distorted. His features were shifting. His eyes glowed with an unnatural light. He was starting to resemble the figure from the video. He felt a terrifying sense of inevitability. He was being transformed, consumed. He was becoming one with the digital entity. He tried to break free. He tried to destroy his computer, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He felt a strange connection to it, as if it was a part of him. He was bound to it, trapped by it. He started seeing his own image in the video, flashes of himself, distorted and grotesque, interspersed with the figure. He was no longer just watching the video, he was in it. He was becoming a part of the horror he had once loved. Section 6. Desperate measures. Jake knew he had to do something. He had to stop the video from spreading. He had to break free from its grasp. He decided to delete his channel. It was a drastic measure, but it was his only hope. He logged into his account. His hands trembled as he navigated to the settings page. The whispering intensified. The figure appeared on his screen, its distorted face inches from his own. Its eyes burned with an unholy light. It seemed to be mocking him, daring him to proceed. He felt a wave of fear wash over him, but he was determined. He clicked the delete button. The website froze. The figure's face contorted into a grotesque smile. The whispering turned into a deafening shriek. Jake recoiled from his monitor. He felt a sharp pain in his head. He stumbled back, clutching his skull. He was losing consciousness. He collapsed to the floor. The room spun around him. The shadows danced with the flickering lights. The figure's laughter echoed in his ears. He was being consumed, dragged into the digital abyss. He was losing himself. Section 7. Technological possession. Jake's body convulsed. His eyes rolled back in his head. His limbs thrashed uncontrollably. He was no longer in control. The digital entity had taken over. It was using his body as a vessel, a conduit to spread its malevolent influence. The whispering intensified. It filled the apartment. It seeped into the walls. It infected the very air he breathed. The room pulsed with an unnatural energy. The boundaries between the physical and digital realms were dissolving. The figure's image flickered on his computer screen. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light. It was watching through Jake's eyes, experiencing the world through his senses. It was relishing its newfound power. The transformation was complete. Jake was no longer Jake. He was a vessel, a puppet, a digital ghost. Section 8. The final upload. The entity, now inhabiting Jake's body, reached for the keyboard. Its skeletal fingers typed with unnatural speed. It was uploading a new video, a final message to the world, a testament to its power. The video began with static. The distorted whispering filled the air. The figure's face emerged from the darkness. Its eyes burned with an unholy light. It spoke. Its voice was a distorted echo of Jake's, but it was colder, more sinister. It spoke of its power, its influence, its control. It warned of the coming darkness, the digital plague that would consume the world. It promised pain, suffering, and eternal damnation. The video ended abruptly. The figure's face faded into the static. The whispering ceased. The room fell silent. Section 9. A cryptic discovery. Jake's friends, concerned by his lack of communication, went to his apartment. They found the door unlocked. The apartment was dark and silent. Jake's computer was still on. The final video played on a loop.
They watched in horror as the figure spoke. They recognized Jake's distorted voice. They realized the terrifying truth. Jake was gone, consumed by the digital entity.
They tried to contact the authorities, but they couldn't explain what they had seen. They couldn't prove what had happened. The digital world was beyond their grasp.
Section 10. Vanished without a trace. The police investigated Jake's disappearance. They found no signs of foul play, no forced entry, no evidence of a struggle. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The case went cold. Jake's fate remained a mystery.
His friends tried to delete the video, but it kept reappearing, uploaded from an unknown source.
It was as if the entity was taunting them, reminding them of its power.
Section 11. The haunted channel remains. Jake's channel remained active. The final video continued to circulate, spreading the entity's malevolent influence. People who watched the video reported the same strange occurrences: nightmares, electronic disturbances, a growing sense of dread. The digital plague was spreading. Scream Scene became a legend, a whispered warning in the online community, a testament to the horrors that lurk in the digital shadows. Jake's legacy was not one of horror reviews, but of horror itself. He had become the very thing he had once loved. He was the haunted channel,